I better have something to drink.
Good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. I'm Kim Serafini, as you know, or as you may not yet know, but anyway, I am. And I don't normally sound like this. I think this is calmer because of Robert, who is our special guest today, incredible faculty member. What can I tell you about Robert? In short, because clearly I'm not going to speak for very long, you know, in the last 5 to 10 years, I've had the privilege and the honor of working with lots of incredible transformational leaders, New York Times bestselling authors, and people who create extraordinary change in the world. And it's kind of sad for me to say this, but it's the truth. The more I get to know some of my previous so-called perceived idols, the less I idolize them. Unless, of course, it comes to Robert MacPhee, who I really, really admire and respect and love him dearly. He walks his talk, but he's a man of real dignity and grace and elegance and brilliance. And he's very unassuming, which is why I really want to shine this bright light on him. So to give you a little bit of a background, about 6 months ago, I actually reached out to him, and we'd worked together before, and he used to be like the grand trainer, the director of training for Jack Canfield's organization, and he's very good friends with Jack. And it was actually Robert who facilitated the introduction and the opportunity for us to have a positive prime session with Jack for the success principles. And Robert actually stood up on Jack's stage and actually talked about positive priming, and really on my behalf, but did an even better job than me. So he's got the job. But the thing is that the reason why I reached out to him is because I wanted to take myself to the next level, right? I've got my own limiting beliefs, my own glass ceilings, or my own perceptions about what I even need to break through. You know, it's not every day that I liken myself to an Elon Musk or a, you know, Bill Gates or a Richard Branson. But when I do, and I realize what I'm really up to with Positive Prime, globally and internationally, and as a tech founder, I need really great people who've got my back. And Robert has this incredible program that's really about leadership, and it's about clarity, understanding who we really are at our core, what our values are, and why that's so important. So I'm going to let him talk to you about that today, because no matter what it is that you do, parenting, and he's a brilliant parent coach, by the way. If you have a team in network marketing or direct sales, or you're a coach and you actually have a professional service, ultimately you're a leader and you're a role model. And so I actually decided to be a participant in Robert's program. I was really happy to pay for it. I encouraged some other people to do it. And then he's got this incredible additional program called the Prosperity Game, which is extremely profound, actually. It seems so simple, but that belies its sophistication. So anyway, Robert, can you just tell everybody about your dynamics of change model, how amazing you are, and what I really want at the end is for everybody to understand what you and I have strong-armed each other into, because Robert's really generous as well, like really generous. And here's what I need to say. As a result of doing his program, May and June were my best financial months, like seriously, in 5 years. And on top of all of that, there was a lot more ease and space in my life. Like I actually had more time off in June than I've ever had, whilst I actually made more money than I've ever made. For me personally, okay? So you have to lean in and listen. Away you go, Robert. Goodbye, everybody. I might actually forget because I can't help myself. But anyway.
Wait, don't go anywhere, because you have to keep me in check.
Okay, will do.
And I promise what I'm not going to do is one of the things you asked me to do, which is to talk about how fabulous I am, because then I would become one of those people who you talked about, who both you and I have shared our frustration with, that sometimes people who are doing this kind of work and trying to help people lead better lives and make the changes they want to make and create lasting results and make it easier and have more fun and all those wonderful things, sometimes when we get to know them, we find out, one, that they really do think they're fabulous, but two, that they're maybe not living by the principles that they're teaching quite as much as we would hope. So that is frustrating. And one of the things I love about you, first of all, want to be really clear, you and I are collaborating here. And as much as you tried really hard to call me up and tell me that you wanted to participate in my course, and I'm thrilled that you did, and you were a great collaborator as we went through the course. But even in that, it turned into a collaboration because we used Positive Prime as a bonus to share with the people that were participating in the course. And I know there's some people actually on this call who were part of that course, so it's great to see you guys. But it was really profound to see the power of the combination of your work and my work coming together. And I know one of the things that you and I really share is a commitment, not just to sharing information, but to helping people really make transformation and focusing on not, again, just the implementation, not the information, but the implementation of the information, and not just getting results, but getting results that are sustainable. Because it's just so frustrating to see people with the best of intentions and clear goals and knowing that their life could be and, you know, can be better, and yet they're frustrated. And you mentioned that dynamics of change model. That's kind of the starting point of most of my work. It's available to people for free. If you go to my website, there's a link to what we call the dynamics of change model. And I made a decision a while ago, although it's a really foundational piece of my work, it's also really important for people to understand before they do the work. So I just decided to kind of have that be on the make it available to as many people as possible side. It's available for free. And it's also the first pillar, kind of a redo, if you will, as part of the online course that I created that was the one that you participated in and we made Positive Prime a part of. And a couple of things, I know we have limited time, and I will, would encourage people to go and watch the video that goes into depth, but the real point of the dynamics of change model is that the results that we get come from the actions that we take. The actions that we take come from the thoughts that we think and the emotions that we experience. And for most of us, the thoughts that we think and the emotions that we're experiencing are being directed by all the external influences in our life. They're being influenced really heavily by our friends, our family, our coworkers, the media, social media, just the world that we live in, the environments that we're surrounded by are often literally determining the way we think and the emotions that we're experiencing. And therefore, my work is called Excellent Decisions, and the decisions we make are the bridge from that realm of ideas and emotions and thoughts and habits, all the inner work. The decisions we make are the bridge from there into the actions that we take. And of course, it's the actions that we take that ultimately determine the results that we're getting and the experiences we're having in life. So my work and the foundation of my work is about getting people to realize that in addition to all those external influences that are not going away, all that, well, I call it the stress and pressure of the world, because it just gets more and more and bigger and louder every day, it seems like. In addition to that, there's our true self. There's who we really are. There's what I call my self-image, and the degree to which we can tap into our self-image and start making conscious choices about who we want to be, like what's really important to us. I call it vision and values. The degree to which our vision and our values, our clarity about what's really important to us, is determining the thoughts we think and the emotions we experience, rather than all those external influences, is the degree to which we start creating the results we want and having the experiences we really want. And that fundamental shift, again, is really at the core of all the work that I do. The intention of the work I do is to take people through a process so that they can take that simple concept, which when we map it out in this clever little diagram that I created, it makes perfect sense to people. I actually first started doing it in the health and fitness world with all these people who are out there joining the gym January 1st every year with the best of intentions and knowing they want to be healthier, they want to feel better, they want to look better, they want to have more energy. And then they join the gym and they start exercising. And shortly after that, they fall off the wagon and they get distracted or they lose their motivation or whatever you want to call it. And this awareness that it's the external influences that are determining the way they think, the way they act, and the results they get. And that if they are holding on to a self-image that's usually something along the lines of, I'm overweight and out of shape and I don't like to exercise anyway, if they don't make changes in that area, if they don't get in and do the work and get really clear about why they want to be healthier, what that really means to them, how that's in alignment with something more important. There's always something more important than health and more important than money. There's something deeper inside. And when we connect to that, and that's what's driving, again, the thoughts we think, the emotions we experience, and therefore the decisions we make and the actions we take, life changes really dramatically. And the other thing that's really interesting from the way you kind of set this up and did the introduction, Kim, is that I'm right now in a really powerful awareness of how important the idea of persistence is. And again, I know you share my commitment to taking an idea like this. Wow, maybe no one's ever opened you up to this possibility that you have a self-image and you can choose that self-image and you can get more clear about your vision and your values and what's really important to you. And if that was the primary driver in your life, how much different would life be and how exciting is that? And that's all great. But you know what? Tomorrow morning you wake up and you still have a boss and you still have a job and you still have a spouse and you still have kids and you still have a television that's blaring at you and all those things. And for most people, you know, a day later or a week later or a month later, they don't remember a conversation like this and they've lost the excitement, lost the sense of new possibility. And one of the things I loved, like loved about, first of all, having you participating in the course, but also sharing the Positive Prime resource was that together, the information and the follow-up that was in the course with the Positive Prime resource, not just added on at the end, but literally as a part of the course throughout, and then as a resource to help people stay on track at the end, was completely profound. And the fact is that just this dynamics of change model and helping people understand and even getting in and doing the work with them about vision and values, if we don't follow up, if there's not a period of time, and I'd love to tell you exactly what that period of time is. Different teachers out there will tell you different periods of time. In my experience, it's different for different people. Some people get it very quickly and make changes very quickly. Other people, like me, it takes a while. Like I need to be like in action, doing something new and different for a period of time in order to rewire. And Kim knows more about the science. You guys have probably already heard more from her. You know, she's forgotten more than I'll ever know about the science behind that. But the truth is, I see it over and over again that people need that period of time of rewiring, of resetting their automatic pilot so they get to a point where the change is happening. It has already happened, but it's happened in a way that lines up with their self-image, and they create what I call a new comfort zone. Most people, when they try to make changes, they get very uncomfortable. It gets very unfamiliar to them. And in most cases, I think that's why people quit. If you start with your self-image, when you create a new result called more money or a better relationship or better health, whatever it is, when you create a new result that matches the self-image that you declared into the world, you create a new comfort zone. And to me, that's the secret to lasting results. So I'm going to pause. Kim, I could just go on and on and on, but I want to let you ask questions. I know you know your audience better than I do. Is there anything else that you feel like is really important to address?
No, do you know what? You're doing a brilliant job. And quite frankly, I'm looking at the chat and they love you as much as I do already. Woo!
You sound terrible. I feel bad for even asking you to speak more. I should rephrase that. I love you and you sound terrible.
And then I know the way that I sound isn't a reflection of who I am.
Yes, I have a voice, but I am not my voice, right?
let's just do like the top 5 observations that you have about life, a complete divergence, so that no matter what, everyone takes away something that they actually can go like, oh, that was a real aha out of the next 10 minutes. And then what I want to actually go into more is why it's so important that we actually create the opportunity, take the time, make the effort. In a lot of my consultations, I've been explaining to everybody that the process of harvesting my thousands of images that I put into my private collection so that I have a personalized session is actually about me deliciously anticipating with unbridled enthusiasm the experiences that I'm going to have in the future as if I'm already having them, and feeling the exquisite gratitude as if I'm eating that char-grilled octopus in that gorgeous environment in Crete or Ibiza or anywhere else, you know, it's going to happen. And the kind of letting go of the attachment about when it's going to happen, and just know that that experience and something even better is absolutely being lined up in terms of circumstance and situation and serendipity and synchronicity and coincidence. And ultimately, it's the process that you take people through that is what unlocks us. And it certainly unlocked me. And it caused me to actually do the work again at a completely different new me. And the new me, even 3 months from now or 3 years from now, is going to redo the process, because it's really important for us to actually re-examine what our goals are, what our intentions are, based upon, are these values and is our vision still holding true for us now, given who we've become. So anyway, see,
All right.
Don't let me talk.
So here's what I'll do. So I love the challenge, by the way. It's a great opportunity to practice what I preach and just pause and be quiet for a moment and listen for kind of what's present. And I'll share the 3 things that actually came up, and I'll also share a quick overview. You talked about the process that I use, and just so people know, we talked a little bit about the first part. The first part is awareness of the dynamics of change and why that's so important and how change works before we launch into trying to make changes. The other part that's really important as a piece of awareness is the concept of personal responsibility. I had the opportunity to work really carefully with Jack Canfield, or a long time with Jack Canfield. He, if you don't know, is the co-creator of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, which most people know him for. He's also the author of this book called The Success Principles, which is always within arm's reach for me. Amazing book. And the number 1 principle out of 64 principles in that book is taking personal responsibility. And again, for me, that's a foundational piece before we dive in and actually start doing the work. To be aware of that and to be aware of the importance of that and to embrace a willingness to do that is critically important. The second part after awareness is what I call clarity. And clarity is about getting clear about, first of all, where you are now, like what your current situation is, because sometimes people are wildly optimistic about where they are now, and sometimes people are wildly pessimistic. We want to be wildly realistic. Actually, I just made up that term in this moment. Wildly realistic. That's my new thing. But to be clear about where we're at now. The second part is to be clear about our desired results. This is kind of a goal setting type of module. And then the third part is to go even deeper with that and take it all the way to the level of vision. Because a goal is one thing, but a vision is a whole different level. And excellent decisions, as I think I mentioned before, decisions made based on vision and values rather than stress and pressure. So having a really clear vision is really important. And number 4, you won't be surprised, the 4th component of clarity is values. What's really important to us. We look at that in a couple of different ways. And then the 5th component is value. And there's a really profound difference between our values and our value. And especially for people who are working on money goals, the concept of value and having clarity about how valuable we really are in the marketplace and to other people and in relationships and even to ourselves. To be really clear about our value is really important. So that's clarity. And then the third step is what I call letting go of attachments. And this was actually one of the things you talked about it, Kim, as part of your question. it was one of the things that came to mind, one of the three things to share. With letting go of attachments, what we're looking to do is seek a state of what I call high intention, but low attachment. So, we go through and we work with people and they get really clear about what they want and why they want it, and it's alignment with their values, and it's going to make the world a better place, and they're passionate and excited, and it can go too far. It can go into the realm of, I need to have this. I have to have more money. If I don't find the right person to be in a relationship, my life won't be complete. If I don't lose the weight, I'll be a failure somehow. And we literally get so excited and so passionate about a goal or an intention or a commitment that we feel like we need to have it, that we won't be complete and whole unless we have it. So we use gratitude as a way to pause and achieve that state of high intention. It's absolutely possible to have that really clear intention of what it is we intend to create, but to let go of the attachment, to stop worrying about what other people will think, to not feel like we need to have it somehow. And to be open to all the different ways that it can happen. So there's something really powerful about getting to that state where we've literally let go of attachments and we're operating. And relationships are the perfect example, because anyone who has ever been in a state of seeking a relationship, you're single, you're out there, you're making yourself available. And if you've ever come across someone who absolutely needs to be in a relationship, just think about how attractive that is or isn't. For most people, it is not attractive at all. If someone like, oh, I need to be in a relationship, but you're the perfect person for me. I'm in love with you on the first date. I want you to meet my parents. At some point, it's like, get away. And there's something really powerful about someone who has a really clear intention to find the right relationship, but has no attachment whatsoever. You might be the right person. You might be the wrong person. We're going to be patient. We're going to wait. We're going to find out. We're going to get to know each other and see what happens. And there's something so attractive about that, literally, like we're drawn to that. So letting go of attachments is a really important part of what I teach.
We should just say, Robert, that because you've got teenagers and young adults as children, but you've been happily married for like eons. So
September will be 30 years.
Relationship.
September will be 30 years.
Woohoo! Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, and it definitely, there's definitely an impact there. And Kim, I know you've heard me say this before, but this work that I do, that you can tell I love doing, I feel like I'm so on purpose. It's what I was put here to do and all that. But the single biggest impact this work has had on my life is as a parent. I tell people I was working with Jack Canfield and hanging around with all of his friends while my kids were growing up. And that's what we call an unfair advantage, right? So I'm guessing there's very few people on this call who, while their kids were growing up, had the opportunity to just hang out and learn from and be with someone like Jack Canfield. And it really had a profound impact. And I like to say the intention of my work is to help people thrive, which means achieve at a really high level, but also be truly happy. And by truly happy, I borrow your friend Sean Acor's ancient Greek definition of happiness, which, thank you for making that connection for me. It's one of the most profound moments in all the things I've learned when I first heard Sean, who, if you don't know who Sean is, he's amazing, positive psychology, Harvard, big fan of Positive Prime and Kim. But he uses the ancient Greek definition of happiness, which is the experience of joy while in pursuit of your potential. And first of all, whenever I say that, it's just like, that's what I want. That's like, I want to look at my own life and say, yes, I'm experiencing joy while in pursuit of my potential. I haven't arrived. I probably never will, but I'm in pursuit of my potential. I'm doing what I'm here to do. And that's absolutely what I want for my kids too. I look at all three of my kids, they're achieving at a really high level, which is great. And I'm so proud of them, but I'm even more proud and more happy for them because of the way they live their lives. The schools they went to and the things they're doing, that's all great. Any parent loves to brag about that stuff. But I was just at a family wedding with all three of them, and nobody at the wedding knew what schools they went to or what jobs they had or how much, whatever. They didn't know any of that. They just knew the people that they were meeting, and they're really amazing people. So if you just mention the word parenting, I will go racing off down that track. So I think I covered the third step, which was letting go of attachments. And then the fourth step was all about taking action. It's taking action, responding to feedback. I would love to say, I actually wrote a book. I have my book here. My book originally was called Manifesting for Non-Gurus. which I spent 4 years proving beyond a shadow of a doubt was a clever title and a horrible brand. So now we talk only about excellent decisions and no more manifesting for non-gurus. But I'm still very proud of the book. It's been received really, really well. But, you know, you think someone who wrote a book called Manifesting for Non-Gurus would be a big fan of magical thinking, you know, that we could somehow just sit on our couch and meditate and light the right number of candles and put on the right music and cross our legs and chant the right mantra and everything would be wonderful. And I think Kim made this clear. It's one of the things that attracts our work together, I think, that we have an understanding that there's a very practical side to all of this. That the intention of doing the inner work is to then get out and express ourselves more fully and more authentically in the real world. Again, the decisions that we make are the bridge between all that inner work on the beliefs and the emotions and the thoughts and the habits and all that. The decisions that we make are about getting into action and expressing ourselves into the world. And you know, without that, I don't know how we survive, how we thrive in the world. So again, that final module is all about taking action, responding to feedback, getting help, being willing to ask for help, dealing with rejection. All those fun things show up in that final part of the formula. So awareness and then clarity and then letting go of attachments and persistently taking action is the overview of the whole formula. I call it the Excellent Decisions Transformational Process that I use to set people up to then be able to go out and stay in action and continue to be in alignment with their vision and values to create the life they really want to live. So the other two things, in answer to your question, I don't want to dodge your question, Kim, but the other two things that came up just as I paused and asked myself, in addition to what we already talked about with letting go of attachments, the other thing was an insight that came up to me about expectations recently. And in my experience, most people are getting the results in their life that are pretty much in alignment with what they expect. We pretty much get what we expect. And for most of us, going back to that dynamics of change model, most of us, our expectations have been set up by external influences. The expectations have been set up by what we've observed and experienced in the world around us. And that means what we see, like, you know, in the media and just in the world around us and social media, the people we interact with. And it also means, especially from the people that we interact with from a very young age, our parents, our teachers, our coaches, friends, family, all those kinds of things, set a level of expectation. And I had an interesting awareness recently about how the key to shifting that is not necessarily to change our expectation, but to change what we're willing to accept. And I realized that, like, for me, I'm almost 60 years old, and I have some seriously hardwired expectations. So if I recognize that there's an expectation that's creating a result in my world that's not really working very well for me, again, whether it's my health or money or relationships, whatever it might be, if I see that there's a result I'm getting that I don't really like, and it's being driven by an expectation that's been hardwired for whatever, 50 of those 60 years, it's going to be kind of hard to change that. But what I've noticed is that if I make a declaration that I'm no longer willing to accept that I can get into the mode of taking action and being open to change rather than that resistance and fighting with those 50 years of hardwiring. If I look at changing what I'm willing to accept versus what I'm willing or what I do expect, it's fundamentally different. So to me, like, it's a great trigger for change to just make a declaration that, you know, maybe it's the level of income that you're making right now, and you're just going to say, you know what, I'm capable of more than that. I'm no longer going to accept this level of income. I'm no longer going to accept being treated this way in this relationship. I'm no longer going to accept the number I see on the scale when I, you know, jump on the scale in the bathroom in the morning. Whatever it is, there's something really powerful about that declaration. And for me, it's more powerful than fighting with the expectation. And then the final thing I'll say, and Kim, you mentioned it at the very beginning about how pretty much all of this work comes back to leadership. And I believe that on some level, we're all leaders. In the context of excellent decisions, I believe when people make a commitment to live their life in alignment with their vision and values, and to make decisions and take actions that are driven by their vision and values, by definition, by doing that, they are a leader. And that means they might look over their shoulder and see that nobody's following, but you're still a leader because you're not following someone else. You're not doing what someone or something else tells you that you should do or have to do or need to do or whatever. You are taking the lead. You're taking the initiative based on your own vision and values. What's important to you is what's driving, again, the decisions you make and the actions you take. And one of the really important aspects of leadership, and I think this came up for me because I was sharing it with a client this morning, and it was taught to me by one of my mentors. His name is Scott Cody. Kim, have you met Scott?
No, I haven't.
Okay, we got to make that happen. He's amazing. Most people haven't heard of him. He does a lot of corporate work, and he does little things like create award-winning leadership programs for a little company people may have heard of called NASA. And so that's the level that he's playing at. But I was in a course that he was teaching, and he was talking about trust. And to me, trust is a huge part of leadership, building trust if you are a leader, and being trustworthy, whether you're a leader or whether you're a follower. And what Scott taught me was that the building blocks of trust are sincerity, reliability, competence, and care. Sincerity, reliability, competence, and care. And for me, like, I've really realized that I'm a person who, first of all, just loves to break things down. Like a concept like trust, which, we talk about, like, we all know what it means, but most of us don't. Like, how do we measure trust? How do we determine, if I'm trying to decide going into a big business deal, can I really trust this person? How do I decide? Am I going to trust my intuition? Well, what does that really mean? So for me to have those elements and be able to say, well, is this person sincere? Like, Kim, I totally trust you because I know that you're sincere. Like, I can just, first of all, I have a history with you, and you've got a track record of being sincere. And plus, I just have a gut feeling with you of sincerity from the very first time I met you. Reliability is the second one. Again, you and I have worked together on other projects. We have a history now where I've had the opportunity to experience, you tell me you're going to do something. Does it get done? You're either reliable or you're not reliable. Competence. Is this person good at what they do? Do they have a skill set, like a sense of value that they bring? Are they competent at what they do? And then finally, do they care? And if you think about it with people who either you trust, like I had an interesting situation recently where I had a major breakdown in trust with a person, and I realized it was a reliability issue. This person kept telling me they were going to do something, and they didn't do it. So it was a breakdown in trust. And I was able to say, not just, I don't trust you, but to explain, like, here's where the breakdown is. I know you're sincere. I know you have the best of intentions. I know you're really good at what you do. I know you genuinely care, but we have a major breakdown in terms of reliability because it's getting to the point where if you tell me you're going to do something, I don't believe you. Like, that's where the breakdown is. So again, just in terms of, you asked for 5, I'm only giving you 3 because of time, because I always go on too long describing the 3 that I do. But that's really up for me because of the importance of trust, and for me, the value of having those 4 criteria, sincerity, reliability, competence, and care, as a way to assess trust. And it's still that there's a gut feeling, like I just get a sense when I meet someone whether I can trust them. But, when you're signing a contract or when you're, getting into a more serious conversation, it's nice to have something other than just your gut feeling to go by.
You know what, Robert? That is just the most perfect segue, right? Because I am absolutely convinced that everybody listening just actually in the last 5 minutes really could feel how much they could trust you to lead them through a process, right? And how practical and easy to apply and reasonable and fair your teaching is, all right? So I'll add your 4th for you because it really has stuck with me since I first learned it, and I reheard it in the program. One thing that Robert and I really agree on is that goals are lovely, but they're completely useless unless they're commitments. And so I really know that Robert teaches this. Unless it's an actual commitment that you are willing to trust yourself with, that you will achieve, you will not get to that goal, right? So for everybody, that's a pearl of wisdom that I got from Robert. It's something that I actually challenge myself with. Is this a goal I have, Kim? Or is this a commitment that I am making, not only to myself, but to others? And will I actually achieve it? Can I be reliable? Will I be trustworthy in this? First of all, to me, right?
Yeah.
Before
Yeah, exactly.
anybody else. And that's the whole personal responsibility aspect of what you talk about. It's really in alignment there. You know?
Yeah, it is. It is so true. And that's actually another distinction that I learned from Scott Cody is he says goals are a waste of time. He kind of exaggerates, but it really is up leveling. And just as you were describing it, I could just hear the difference. Like when I say I have a goal, you know, to double my income, whatever, that's an interesting idea. And yet if you were to ask me, well, how committed are you to that goal? You see a lot of people sometimes go, committed? What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Well, and here's what Scott taught me about commitment. Commitment is measured by action. That's it. You know, if you're committed to your goal, whatever it is, to lose weight, to make more money, to find the right relationship, to make a commitment, to make a contribution to your community, whatever it is, whatever your commitment is, you will be taking action on. And if you're committed to living, a quiet, calm, peaceful life, then you will be on the couch relaxing. And if you're committed to making a difference in your community, you'll be out there in your community. If you're committed to making more money, you'll be picking up the phone and making the calls. If you're committed to losing weight, you'll be going for a walk, whatever it is. But the difference between goals and commitment is commitment is measured only by action. Your actions demonstrate what you're committed to. No matter what goals, I've got my daily ritual that I do here, and I go through it every day and I look at my vision, but the word commitment is all over it because it calls you, like it's like a mirror to look in and say, okay, that's a goal. That's an interesting goal, but are you committed to it? That depends on what I do today. So it is true.
So I'm going to ask everybody for a commitment. Okay, so Robert and I were having a really deep and meaningful conversation, and I said to him, this particular course that he does it in a couple of different ways. He either does it like one-on-one at an extremely, what do we say, significant investment. I didn't want to say it was expensive because it is actually valuable, one-on-one, absolutely.
Oh, you mean the version that includes the one-on-one coaching?
Correct. Or he actually does it in a way where you can just do it online, but he does it in an even better way where you can actually do a program with him and he actually facilitates classes. So imagine having really amazing classes like similar to this, but a lot richer, where he actually facilitates activities in a really masterful way via Zoom, which is pretty clever. So you actually do these incredible, I think, much more engaging activities, exercises. And normally he markets that at $497, don't you, for the facilitated course where everybody gets access to the online, but however you have these actual live classes as a group, correct?
Yes, the self-guided version of the course is $97, and people get the access to the content and they can do it at whatever pace they want to do it. And there's really no other specific interaction. They just get access to the materials in the course. The facilitated version that you were talking about, which I was doing over the course of 8 weeks, but what I noticed was it was taking too long to get to that stage of action. So we're planting seeds about action, but what I wanted to do was get to the action stage quicker. So we actually compressed it. We didn't take any of the content out. We just compressed and made some of the clarity modules a little more robust to actually do it in 5 weeks instead of 8 weeks. So there's a total of 6 phone calls that I do to take people through the course. Like you said, to be able to do interactive experiential exercises, the work I've done with people like Jack and Scott that I mentioned and others, I've had the opportunity to learn some amazing experiential interactive activities that take a concept, a piece of information, and really get it into your body. And the model of teaching I love to use most, we all got together and we're doing a retreat here in the wine country in Sonoma, which we should really do sometime, by the way. But the model is to share the information, to have an experience or an activity so you get it in your body, and then to debrief it. That's a really powerful learning model. So the calls give us the opportunity to do some of those exercises and do some of the debrief. It also gives people the opportunity to ask questions along the way. And one of my favorite parts of it is it gives people the opportunity to share their experience, not so I can hear it, but so other people in the group can hear it. And that's sometimes one of the most profound ways of learning. So that's what we do in the facilitated version. That is normally $497. And I'll jump in, I'll get ahead of you a little bit, but what Kim and I are going to be doing is we're going to be offering to her community the facilitated version of the course for the self-guided price. And the reason for that is because Kim's going to do all the marketing for me. So I get to do what I love to do, right? She sends a message out to her community and lets them know about me and my work and what I'm doing and makes the offer. And I don't have to do all the marketing. So it's totally worth it for me to do that. Plus, I'm just having such a blast facilitating this course right now. So that's really what I want to be doing. And what we wanted to do for this group, and this is a group within the community, and this is only for the people in this group who have made an additional commitment to Kim. And we're also, because I don't want to be the sign up police or whatever, if you want to share this opportunity with people in your life, especially if you want to do the course with an accountability partner, which is a hugely powerful element, you can share this with other people in your life. The quest is not to just share it randomly. Because what we're going to offer is for people in this group to get the course for half of the self-guided price. So there's the facilitated price, which is $497 normally. We're going to be offering it to the community as a whole for $97. We're offering it to this group for $49. So Kim is going to send you guys the link to where to go to take advantage of that offer. There's a special coupon code that you'll need to use to take advantage of that offer. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, don't send that out right away, Kim, because I want to make sure I correct that. I think the coupon code that I sent you might be the one that I set up for the community as a whole. So as soon as we get off this call, I'll make sure that I have the correct
I know, because
coupon code
I
to
will
you.
tell everybody, yeah, you guys are going to have an opportunity at $49. But Robert, I have to tell them the bit that I cannot tell you how incredibly sensational the extra is, the prosperity game, which you normally you run a couple of times a year, and people pay, what do they pay, $100 to do the program?
No, I only charge $20 for it. I actually used to do it for free.
That's ridiculous.
I used to do it for free, and I just recently had a really powerful experience where I realized how much I was not serving the people who I was doing it for free. Because I had a group part of the group I had charged $20 to participate, and the other part of the group came in from a different course that I was teaching, and it was a bonus, and they weren't paying anything. So I looked at the numbers, and I saw that 80% of the people who did it for free didn't participate.
Oh.
And I went, this is crazy. And believe me, the $20 I charged to participate in this game is not putting me in a different tax bracket. But what I saw was that 70% of the people who did pay $20, again, it wasn't $100, it wasn't $1,000, it was $20. But 70% of the people who paid $20 participated fully, all the way to the end, fully active in the game. So 80% not participating, 70% fully participating. I will never do the game for free again. However, this technically isn't doing it for free. But the reason we're doing it here is because normally when I do the course and I'm marketing the course, there's two bonuses that I offer. Number one is Positive Prime, which for you guys is not such a great bonus because you already have Positive Prime, right? Number two is a free copy of my book and the partner journal that comes with it, which, to tell you the truth, I just can't do for $49. Like if I do the course for $49 and I send a hard copy of the book and journal, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I love the work that I do, and I like macaroni and cheese, but I don't love macaroni and cheese. This is my business, so it has to work on some level. So what Kim and I came up with was that for this group, we would invite you to participate in the prosperity game right on the heels of the online course. So we'll do the really 6 weeks of online course. And then a couple weeks after that, I'm actually finishing a prosperity game right now. So we'll start another one. And it won't be only this group that'll be participating, but it will be included for this group. And I'll give you a quick explanation of the prosperity game. The prosperity game is a 4-week game. And as a participant, what happens is you get an email from me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 4 weeks. And in the email, there's a picture of a check. And there's also a link to a private Facebook group. And when you get the message, what you do is you click on the link to the Facebook group and you do a post where you answer 2 questions about your virtual check. Number 1 is, where did the money come from? Did you earn it? Did you find it? Did someone give it to you? You get to decide, whatever you decide. And then the second question is, what are you going to do with it? So are you going to spend it? Are you going to save it? Are you going to invest it? Are you going to give it away? You get to decide. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 4 weeks, you get this message and you have a check and you answer those 2 questions. Where did it come from? And what are you going to do with it? Very simple game. But where it gets really interesting is every time you get a message, the amount of your check has doubled. So it's twice as much as the previous check. And what happens for people is over the course of the game, they almost always come up against their own limiting beliefs in the area of money. So we all have, again, I talked about expectations earlier. We all have expectations. We all have a comfort zone around money. And without telling you the specific amounts and making it a spoiler alert, I will tell you that almost everyone, this game pushes up against their upper limit of what they think is possible in their life in terms of money. And once they break through that upper limit, it's amazing to see what happens. So it's a very simple game, but it's a very profound experience. And I know Kim, it was interesting, Kim and I talked about it the other day. She's been playing, but she hasn't actually been playing on the Facebook group. She's been playing, she gets my messages and she's been doing it on her own. And you know, Kim is a very powerful visualizer. So as she's doing this and really embracing the experience of this money flowing through her life, you know, they say the mind can't tell the difference between a real and a vividly imagined event. So Kim's been having a lot of money vividly imagined flowing through her life. And that's what she was talking about the profound impact it's having on her and finances. So can't do well, we could do the positive prime, but I don't think that would get you guys that excited as a bonus. I can't do the book and journal, especially if some of you are in Australia. I think it would cost me more than $50 just to send the book to Australia. But we want to include the prosperity game as well. It'll be really fun. And also, Kim, the other thing I would do, and I did this with the game that I'm playing right now, is we can host additional calls just for this group. I know you have a really close-knit group here. And like as part of the prosperity game, each one of those messages also has a video from me where I share insights about how to get the most out of the game. You know, I've facilitated it for years. And there's things to keep in mind and things to be aware of as you're playing. So I share that along the way. I also host a call before the game to set people up for how it's going to go and how to set themselves up for success. I host a call halfway through just to check in with the group, see if there's questions, check in. And then my favorite is I host a call at the end where we debrief the game. And what I would do for this group, Kim, if you want, is there's an off week in between. So there's a call before we start, and then there's an off week, and then there's a call halfway through, and an off week, and then a call at the end. During those 2 off weeks, we could have a call just for this group to share their experiences and be able to support each other. So we can do that as well.
I do. I love that. And interestingly enough, guys, what I have to tell you is that because I had the opportunity to talk to Robert about what I was actually experiencing and why I wasn't posting on the Facebook group, I actually realized and released something. And it's funny because when you have a master be a really great mirror with you as you do this work, I think that you can break through years of otherwise hopeful therapy that just isn't necessary. You can just crack the code. And ultimately, that's what we want. So I love Lisa's question. May we purchase your book and journal, please? I said to Robert, Robert, we're not sending the book. We have to still make it available. You promise people can buy it from you.
That's how, see, Kim, that's how I get them. Yes, you can. It's $175 for, no, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
He's totally kidding.
Yeah. And what I'll do, you know, the book and journal, and I send them from here, so they're signed as a set. I like when I'm speaking, I make them available for $20. So I'll do the same thing here. And that would be that would be including shipping in the US.
Oh, that's crazy.
So if it's international shipping, we're going to have a conversation, because I know the last time I sold a book to someone in Australia, I went down to the post office, and I'm pretty sure it cost me more to ship it than I charged for the book. So,
yeah, definitely.
But if people are in the US, it would be $20, signed book and the partner journal that goes with it for $20. So, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Okay,
and
so
here's the other thing. One more thing I'll just throw in, Kim. And, you know, we're kind of joking about, you know, me and my big sales pitch. And, you know, we get on these kinds of calls and there's a big offer at the end and all that. The other thing that I always do, and it's always part of all the work that I do, is this 100% guarantee. So some of you are meeting me for the first time. You trust Kim. You can see that Kim and I love each other and love working together. You can tell that Kim trusts me, and based on that, you probably feel that sense of trust. You get a sense of, you know, the sincerity and the reliability and the competence and the care and all that. But you know what? My work is not for everybody. So if you decide, hey, this course sounds great, but you get on the first call and something I say rubs you wrong, or, you know, you find out that, you know, whatever you find out about my deep, dark history, or I don't know, what might they find out? I really don't have a deep, dark history.
He does not.
For whatever reason, if someone decided this wasn't for them, even if you just thought you'd have the time and you realized you didn't, or whatever it is, you know, 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you complete the course, if you never got to start it, whatever. I would never want, especially for $49, I would never want someone to make a decision about whether to do the course based on money. If it sounds like it's something that would be of interest to you and would be of value to you, just know that if it turns out not to be interesting to you or not to be valuable, you're just going to get your money back. So just, you know, again, just to put that out there, 100% satisfaction. You don't have to submit a 12-page form. You email me and tell me it didn't work for you, and you get your money back. It's very simple. So,
hey, everybody, if you don't already have Robert MacPhee's session, use 120 of your credits, go over to the shop in Positive Prime, and make sure that you put Excellent Decisions into your library now, and watch it. Absolutely, it's going to help reinforce some of the main messages of his mastery program. I'm very,
very proud of that session, and combining it with the course this last time was truly profound. Like, to see, because, and like any offer, you know, we made it available to the whole group. There are almost 100 people in the group, and maybe 30 people took advantage of the offer. I don't remember, 30 or so took advantage of it, like actively were talking about it. And the experience that they were having, taking the work that I do and combining it with the Positive Prime resource, was so exciting. And that's why, you know, Kim and I got started talking about what we can do next, you know, making the offer to the community of people who already have access to Positive Prime. And then that's what led us to talking to you guys as well. So,
yeah. Thank you so much, Robert. Anybody have any quick questions before we close out? I know that you've all been really patient. I actually am spending the rest of the day in bed. I had a dinner party this evening that I was hosting. I'm cancelling it. I'm going to take good care of me.
And since my daughter didn't come to Australia, I'm going to have to figure out a way to get myself over there. So,
totally. Robert, just like everybody else, you can participate. All you need to do is say, I'm in. And quite frankly, when you have 90 people sign up as a VIP out of your community, that could be members, readers, clients, whatever, right? It's only 90. You have 90 days to do it. But then I said yesterday in the group, if you achieve 5, because, you know, this is what Robert and I like. We know actually what holds people back. It's perfectionism, it's procrastination, it's 1,000 things, right? So the reality is I thought, I'm going to reward people if they get started now. And as you get started, as you get into action, you can create momentum and you can actually pick up your pace. So anyway, if they achieve 90, guess what? Well, actually Positive Prime pays for them completely for their airfares from London or New York or anywhere in between to come to me here and participate for 5 days and 5 nights in paradise, basically going through the beautiful Serafini Mind Spa program. And you get beautiful meals, delicious, nutritious meals, and me. I mean, seriously.
You see, Gail, I was thinking the same thing you were thinking about how far away it is, and now she's just making it so easy for me. And I'm just realizing for the rest of the marketing of my course, I just need to flip it around. So for the people who I am making Positive Prime a bonus, I just need to be more clear and more direct about the way that we do that and get people signed up and get them to up-level their Positive Prime right out of the gate because they see the value of it. And I get a trip to Australia for doing it. I get to help them and go to Australia.
Yeah, totally.
I'm in.
Totally. Cocktails.
How easy is that?
Meals, treatments, hydrotherapy. Anyway, do you know what? Yesterday I thought
my wife is going to hear it. Then she's going to want to come too.
Yeah. Well, actually, you might be able to achieve that for her too. It's only 180. But
here's no problem.
What I decided. I decided that if you got 5 people in the month of July, right, to prove to yourself that you can actually do it, we'll add an extra month on the end. So you've actually got 4 months to get to the target that you're making a commitment to. And if you actually achieve 10 upgrades next month, like in August, so basically you've gone 15 out of your 90, then you'll get an even extra month. So some people might achieve it inside 3 months, and there's going to be a bonus if you do. But if you're the kind of person who takes a little while to warm up, as some of us do, you actually agreed that you were before. Some of us
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I was typing my email in so people have it if they want to respond, if they have any questions. And Donna had sent me a very nice private message, which I appreciate. But then I just sent her my email. So let me do that again.
Okay. Yeah, so some people have 5 months to achieve the goal. But we won't call it achieving the goal. We'll just say making the commitment to being down under.
I love it.
There's going to be all sorts of other things. But see, Robert, it's like super, super, super easy. And here's the beautiful thing. If you're doing Robert's program, you're going to get really clear that one of the things that you want to do is come to Australia, right? And in addition to that,
Robert, can be part of your vision. Absolutely. And if that's, yeah.
And because there's affiliate commission as well, when somebody achieves that, they will have earned themselves more than $4,000 in the process. I would call that nice spending money. Wouldn't you? You can stop in Hawaii on the way over.
All right. So it's all this upward spiraling. The course is supporting people in getting to Australia by making extra money for sharing with people something that will fundamentally change their lives.
Yeah, I know.
I'm in. Okay, so I did just put my email in, robert@excellentdecisions.com. I don't have 12 different gatekeepers. If people have questions, just let me know. I'm happy to answer them. And Kim, thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope you get a wonderful rest of your day of rest. Thank you. I also am in the Facebook group too. So I'm not huge on Facebook, but if people want to connect with me within the Facebook group, they're able to do that as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, we'll look forward to also seeing you. Robert, I think that we need to tell everybody, when does the course start?
We're actually starting, it's about 3 weeks away. So it's the week of July 22nd. I'm almost certain that our calls are going to be Tuesday afternoons Pacific time. So it'll be like 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that Pacific time. So if people are on the East Coast, it'll be kind of after dinner. If it's on the West Coast, it's before dinner, but after work. It's very difficult to find a time that works for everyone, but we generally find that that's the time that is best. It's also possible that there will be multiple groups. One of the things I learned doing a group of 100 people was I wasn't able to have the level of connection with them and facilitate the level of connection amongst the group that I like to have. So I'm going to do groups that will be no larger than 50. So depending on how many people come in from this group and the rest of Kim's community and other marketing that I'm doing, it's possible that there will be multiple groups, in which case people could pick which time. I would have like a morning group and an evening group. So we'll have to see. As of now, for the first group, it'll be Tuesday, probably 5 o'clock Pacific time will be the time of the calls.
Okay, brilliant.
Starting July 23rd.
Friends, go tag each other in the Are You Ready Australia promotion thing if you want somebody else to notice it. I think someone said, where are you going to post that? So, Marion, I'm going to tag you in that. Thank you, Robert. And we will put this into the VIP, like premium members Facebook page for Positive Crime.
Awesome.
Love you all. Thank you,
all right,
Robert.
thank you, Kim.
So
Talk to you soon.
I really appreciate you doing this with my special peeps who are Dana's special. We all love each other. Okay.
I know. All right.
All righty. Ciao.
Bye.